Hello, Ihawa, Mokharja Galer or Fud on Dawan. Good evening, welcome to Live Irish Myths. This is episode number 316. I'm your host, Anthony Murphy. We are live streaming on YouTube on the Mythical Ireland channel. Excuse me. And also on the Mythical Ireland Facebook page. Wherever you are in the world, please do join in the conversation this evening by commenting, and we will do our best to make you feel welcome and to involve you in the discussion. So I hope you're all in good form. Nice day here in the Boyne Valley today. Real nice sunny spring day. Well, for at least the first half of the day or more. Temperature reached about 12 Celsius, but wasn't the warmest, but it wasn't cold either. And you can see that the sun has risen quite a bit in the sky over the last couple of months, and only 2.5 weeks until the spring equinox, after which there'll be more daylight than nighttime, more brightness than darkness, which is fabulous. Brilliant stuff. Bring it on, as they say. So let us see who is in the house before we start reading tonight. We're continuing our discussion of medicine and medical doctors in early Ireland. Of course, that's from P.W. Joyce's A Social History of Ancient Ireland, Volume 1, which we've been reading for over a year now. And we're nearly there. I think this is the third last episode dealing with that book and related subjects. So we'll have to find something else to do, to talk about, to read, etc., etc. But there won't be any shortage of material, I don't think. Elaine Lingenfelter is the first to comment this evening. Hello, Anthony and all the tour. We're having an overcast day, but the temperature is a nice 21 Celsius. Wow. That's 9 degrees warmer than it was here, and our sun was shining. Yeah, nice. Helen Hirschchader says, good evening, Anthony and all the Tua. Thank you, Helen, and a very good afternoon to you. Johnny Wilson is saying hello from Dallas, Texas, not far away from Elaine, so presume somewhere around the 70 Fahrenheit mark. Rex Fortenberry says, hail, mighty Tua. Looks like it's going to be a cool and rainy Mardi Gras tomorrow. I'm staying in with my hot Irish coffee. Let's get mythin'. Yeah. So if you're having a hot Irish coffee, that means it's probably not too warm there at the moment, which sounds good. Brandon Byrne is saying Glendalough calling. Who is Glendalough calling? Maybe it's calling Mellifont Abbey. Never mind. The Brotherhood. Yes, I love their whiskey, says Rex. Lynn White is sending us a heart. A white one. Thank you, Lynn. And good evening to you from the Boyne Valley. Rex and Fortenberry is informed by Brendan that it's Glendalough by name only. It's not fermented in Glendalough, but who cares if it tastes good? Yes, indeedy. Yeah, temperature's 21 and cloudy, says Johnny. Yes, so yeah, but that's, I mean, as I keep saying, that'd be a decent summer day for us. Nocturnal Druid says on YouTube, says, greetings from the Appalachian Mountains in Tennessee. A very good afternoon to you, Nocturnal Druid. You're very welcome to Live Irish Myths. Hope you're having a great day over there. Apple O'Day is watching from Vancouver, British Columbia, where it is just 5 past midday at this point in time, unless... when do you guys spring forward? We spring forward on the last weekend of March, so it's a few weeks away for us. But I know there's going to be a couple of weeks where... I'm not sure if Canada is the same as the US, though. There's a moment in time where you spring forward. I'm talking about the States. I'm not sure if Canada is the same before we do. So there's a couple of weeks where the time difference it changes, and then it regularizes after we spring forward. Joe Butler, Auntie Joe, is watching from Colorado. Another storm is moving in. Rain tonight, and then snow. Oh my goodness me. Still snow at this time of the year. Batten down the hatches. Stay warm, stay safe, stay dry, Auntie Joe. Richard Burgess, who is in Catskills in New York State, is saying, hey everybody, hope all are well. Good form this side, Richard, and hope we can say the same for you. Valentina Bernardi is saying, good evening from a starry sky, Glastonbury. Sounds lovely. Yeah, nice. And is the Tor looking resplendent under the stars, framed like a silhouette? I don't think it's lit up. Is St. Michael's The tower, is the tower lit up? Is it illuminated at night? I'm not sure that it is it? I could be wrong about that. I don't think it is. But anyway, nice one. Sure. Says you would slowly add to the light pollution. Barbara Murphy is saying hello from a cold Tucson, Arizona. Yesterday, 82. Today, 56. Typical crazy Tucson weather. So 56 is 13.3. Okay, that's a tiny bit milder than it was here today in the Boyne Valley. Michael Pike has joined us and he says, greetings, Anthony and the mighty Tua. Dead right. The mighty Tua. Indeed. Judy McQueen, good afternoon to you, Michael. Judy McQueen is saying hello from Oregon, the Pacific Northwest. Brilliant stuff, Judy. A very good early afternoon to you. Hope you're in great form. Lucas Siccardi says, good evening from Torino, from Turin in Italy. Buona serata, Lucas. Ciao, and I hope you're in good form. Debbie Sheehy says, hello, Anthony and the two. I'm delighted to be able to join you tonight from a lovely spring day in Dublin. Wasn't it just lovely today? Yeah. Really get the sense that we're starting to shake off those long, cloudy, dark, cold days of January and February. Jacqueline Kelly Adams is in the house. Hello, Anthony, and greetings to everyone. It's sunny and chilly here in the Pacific Northwest. You can't have everything, when you live in a climate very like the Irish climate. Hope everyone is hale and hearty. Well, I can only speak for myself, but the others will tell you, and I think they seem to be in good form anyway so far. Lexi Erickson is in the hospital. Fell 3 weeks ago and broke my hip in 3 places, but thought I just pulled a muscle. On the fall last Wednesday, broke the ball off my hip joint, so can't tell you the weather. In the hospital until Wednesday or Thursday. Oh my goodness me. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Lexi. Get well soon from all of us. Lots of love and hugs and get well wishes from around the world. Hard to keep a good thing down, but rest, recuperate, get well, and good to see you all the same. And hope our little live stream will maybe provide a little boost to your flagging spirits. And if there's anybody in that area can drop in a nice bottle of whiskey to Lexi, please do. Desiree Riley is in the house. Hey, just popping and say hi. I'm at work doing inventory. Ugh. So I know you can sneakily. Could you get those spy glasses they have in some of the movies where you can see a little screen on the inside of your glasses, and then you could have sort of earpiece attachments so you can listen to us and work away, but at the same time watch the live stream. Just saying, you could do something like that. Anyway, very nice of you to pop in, Desiree, and say hello, and hello right back to you. Also, lots of people saying best wishes to Lexi. Helen is saying this Saturday, which I presume relates to springing forward. Yeah, so next week's live stream, which is the 10th, and the one after that, 17th, possibly the one after. Let me have a look. When is the last Saturday? So yeah, okay, it's going to be the following 3 live streams. Yeah, will be slightly different. You spring forward, which means there'll only be a 4-hour difference between here and New York, and a 7-hour difference between here and Seattle and British Columbia or Vancouver and Oregon and California. So what does that mean? It means that while I'll be broadcasting at my usual time, you will have to tune in an hour earlier than you usually do. Isn't that right? I think I have it right. Yeah, lots of people saying best wishes to Lexi. March 9th for us here, says Apple O'Day. Okay. Yeah, so that's this weekend. So the same as the States, I presume. Yeah. Okay, so the same for the Canadian viewers. You will have to tune in an hour earlier for a few weeks until we spring forward on the last weekend of the month. By the way, our government, as part of a European Union vote, 4 or 5 years ago voted to abolish the time change. But then when it came to actually putting it into practice, nobody knew what to do. So it hasn't been done. Facebook being difficult today. Yeah, hop over to YouTube if you haven't, Michael. It's generally steadier there, the stream. Catherine Cleary is saying hello to all. Beautiful weather here now in Southern California, but expecting much needed rain later in the week. We spring forward on March the 9th. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Catherine. So next week, you will have to tune in at No, it'll still. Sorry, yeah, it'll still. Oh no, hang on. If you spring forward. Oh no, hang on. I said an hour earlier, didn't I? Got that. I definitely got that mixed up. So if you normally tune in at 12 midday and you spring forward, you'll then be tuning in at 1 p.m. So you'll be actually tuning in an hour later. My apologies. Sorry for the confusion, folks. John Inman says, hello from Eureka, California, and sunny Howwood. I think it's sunny in Eureka. John, Eureka sounds like a rather nice part of the world weather-wise. And I imagine it doesn't do as much rain as it does here in Ireland. Yeah, and Elaine's saying the same thing. Our time changes March the 9th, which is coming the early hours of next Sunday morning. I presume you change at 2 a.m. in the morning like we do. Mariana Dunn says, Banachty, dear Tua and Anthony, from sunny but chilly Alexandria, Virginia. Hopefully it'll warm up for you soon, Mariana. Adina Sparks is saying, hello, a very windy day here in New Mexico. 28 miles per hour winds with gusts over 55 miles per hour. Wow. Am I right in saying Gene Hackman lived out his final years in New Mexico? Very sorry to hear of his passing there 2 or 3 days ago. And of course to his wife. Very sad news. Now, he was a good age. I think he was 95. I consider him one of the greatest actors of the 20th century. Enjoyed many of his performances. The standout, well, the one that I am that I really, really, really always like, apart from the French Connection, is Crimson Tide, Captain Ramsey. I thought that was very tense, a brilliant submarine underwater thriller with Denzel Washington. And I just thought he was absolutely outstanding. Tom King is in the house. On Gowa, the smith of the forge of the smooth road, Sli Ashel, Boyne Valley. Oh, beautiful evening in the Boyne Valley. Sharp moon looking in at the forge. Hope all a good fettle. Enjoy story time. Tom, I was just thinking a little while ago that you could, in fact, host your own live stream. And you know what you would call it? Live Irish Smiths. Sorry. Anthony, try to hold a straight face when you tell jokes or puns. Yes, and joining us this evening on Live Irish Smiths, it's blacksmith Tom King. Oh, never mind. Ivania Lee has joined us. Morena Mighty Tua from the mighty Waikato. And of course, Ivania is in New Zealand, where it is now Tuesday morning. A very good morning to you, Ivania, from all of us. Well, for me, first and foremost, from, well, it's dark here now, cloudy mostly, but Tom King can see the moon, so it's obviously not completely overcast. A cloudy but nice evening in the Boyne Valley. No rain, no wind, and it's not too cold. And happy Tuesday to you from all of us who are still here in Monday. No, it is not normally. This is in relation to St. Michael's Tower. Is it called St. Michael's Tor, or is the Tor just the hill? It's not normally lit up, but it was lit up by torches during the Jubilee, and we lit a beacon. Very nice. Tuesday Thompson is in the house, wishing us a happy Mythology Monday. Many happy returns, Tuesday. Speak for yourself. Arizona doesn't change. Well, unless you are on the Navajo reservation. You mean the clocks don't change in Arizona? Is that right? Or are we talking about something else? Barbara, you might just clarify that. If that's the case, that's fascinating. Of course, the Navajo reservation is very close to the Hopi reservation too, isn't it? Oh my goodness me. Helen is telling us that she has 4 to 8 inches of snow on the way tonight. Wow. I don't know how I would deal with that. I'll tell you how I would deal with that. Stay indoors drinking whiskey. Keep the heating on. Keep the fire lit. Catherine is saying, looks like I've been drinking with the typos in my greeting, but I'm sober. Just typing too fast. I probably need new glasses. That's perfectly okay, Catherine. We all make mistakes. Especially, I make mistakes, You know, I said to my wife the other day, I said, you know, that we are encouraged in life to embrace our mistakes. So she gave me a hug. If March comes in like a lion, it goes out like a lamb, and the opposite. In like a lamb, out like a lion. What way did March come in? 2 days ago was what? Saturday. Oh, what was I even doing? I can't even remember. Oh, yes. It was a calm day. It was cloudy, but it was calm. Okay. Kind of snuck in like a lamb. Not sure what that means, but anyway, hopefully you know yourself. Yeah, lots of people passing on their best wishes to Lexi and for a speedy recovery. Danu Forrest is in the house. Hi, Anthony Murphy and the two are from Glastonbury. Another viewer in Avalon. Danu, good evening to you. Great to see you again. Hope you are in good form. Gordon Farrell is in the house. Gordon is in Longford. Gordon, a very good evening to you. Hope it's a pleasant evening in your part of the world, not too far away. Evening, Mr. Murphy, says Lynn Murphy. Yet another Murphy in the Mythical Ireland Library. Brilliant stuff. We'll have a whole Murphy reunion going on here today. Funny Facebook today, says Auntie Joe. What the Zuck? What the Zuck is going on? Yes, for once, says Barbara, mine is behaving. Maybe that's why. Barbara's steady stream is causing chaos across the network. Yeah. Deirdre O'Connor is saying hello, everyone from London. A very good evening, Deirdre, and hello to you. Good evening to all our friends in London. 1 second, because I think my male dog needs to. Yes, Coda is scratching at the door, which means I need to use the lavatory. Excuse me. Oh, Smith jokes, says Michael Pike. Yes. Elena Lingenfelter is laughing. And Tom King is laughing, saying, now there's an idea. So I'm only now seeing the reactions to my suggestion that Tom could have his own live stream called Live Irish Smiths. Yes, brilliant. I can't believe we never thought of that before, in fairness. We've only been doing Live Irish Smiths for... No, it's not 5 years. No, it couldn't be. 2020 to 2021 is 1 year. 2, 3, 4, 5. No. Is that right? 5 years? 5 years on the 12th of March. Almost 5 years. Is that right? No, I'm completely doubting myself now. 2020 March was the outbreak of COVID-19, wasn't it? It was 2020. Oh my God, where is time going? Time flies when you're having fun. When you're in good company. Wow. Arizona does not observe daylight savings time. I didn't know that. Wow. You learn something new every day. Every day is a learning day, particularly here on Live Irish. I'm absolutely fascinated by that. I think you're lucky. But then, you know, I don't know. If we stuck to winter time, we'd have very early dawns in summer and earlier sunsets. We stuck to summertime, we'd have very late dawns in midwinter. Like the sun wouldn't come up at Newgrange till 10 o'clock in the morning. But it wouldn't set till 5 p.m. At the moment, it sets at 4 p.m. on winter solstice. One thing I loved about living in Japan, says Nocturnal Druid, is that they don't do time changes. Wow. Land of the rising sun to the island of the setting sun. Britt Griffin, joining late under a winter storm warning here. Not sure where all the snow will go. Yeah, several of you talking about snow being in the forecast. Eek. Make sure you have your shovels at the ready. I actually laughed out loud at the mistakes joke against my better judgment. Yeah. And if you're joining us late, I said to my wife the other day, you know, you should embrace your mistakes. She gave me a hug. Yes, indeed. That's right. 2020 to 2025. Wow. I'm really gobsmacked at that. It's 5 years. It's almost 5 years we've been doing Live Irish Myths. Wow. How will we celebrate? Well, there's definitely going to be whiskey involved. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Good question. Let me think about that one. The hill is called Tor, which is the old English word for hill, mound or rocky hill, mound or rocky outcrop, possibly originated from Proto-Celtic, and the tower is what remains of a 14th century church. Ah, brilliant. Thank you for the clarification, Valentina. Yes, 5 years. Wow. That's really something incredible. Somebody's saying hello to Rossio, who I did not see commenting yet, so apologies if I missed that. We do not change our clock, says Barbara. We get enough sun no matter what time the clock says. But if you drive north from Winslow, a mile or so, the time changes. But keep going to the towns on the Hopi Reservation, it changes back to match Arizona. Keep going north or east or west or south, it changes again. Confused? Most are. Yeah, I'm confused, I have to be honest. But I suppose if you're planning to cross the states, especially in your car, you kind of have to maybe change your clock change your watch and your clock every so often. Time flies. Yes, indeed it does. Indira Stefaniana is here. Yes, time flies. Congrats on 5 years. Not quite there yet, but almost. But I mean, I can't believe. I really can't. Wow. It's kind of scary too. None of us is getting any younger. Yeah. So I've been reading. You may know because I mentioned it last week, but I've been reading the Book of the Hopi, and especially their origin myths, and it is absolutely fascinating because their origin myths seem to indicate that they had a tribal memory of actually sailing across the Pacific and stopping at several islands on the way, which would contradict the notion, the long-held belief that many of the Native American tribes had arrived onto that continent via the Bering Strait and that very short sea crossing between Russia and Alaska, isn't it? Wow. I think 5 years deserves a special king cake. A cake made by Tom King. Hey, you know that Tom King is quite good in the kitchen. He's quite the chef. His culinary skills are second to none. I know because I've been fed by the man on many an occasion. A hearty meal, a tasty meal he does make. It does be delicious, as we say in this part of the world. His grub does be delicious. I did not see a comment from Rossio. Oh, God. My head is melted from my stupidity and not remembering how to pronounce it. I don't see a comment there. So anyway, I believe. There we go! Yay! I have a question. Hello, Rossio, and good afternoon to you. I have a question, not myth-related, kind of. Can you travel out of Ireland with a shillelagh? I was thinking of getting one for my dad when I visit your homeland, but someone mentioned to me that I might not be able to take it with me. I don't know is the quick answer. You probably wouldn't bring that on as carry-on luggage, so that would go into the hold. If you wrap it up carefully, will the security people go, what is that? And let's check that. Is it because of the fact that it's made of plant material that you might not be able? I don't know. What a good question. If anybody here can help Rossio answer that question. So a shillelagh is a blackthorn stick. Like, I could call it a walking stick, but it isn't. Shillelaghs were actually fighting sticks. They were actually used by Irish peasants to fight against each other. Yeah, sticks. I know. But I don't think hacking at each other with a shillelagh is the sort of thing that's done these days. Yeah, I think mostly they're walking sticks, but they can also be used as a weapon. Yeah, shillelagh. Blackthorn is a very hard, dense wood, hence the reason. In the olden days, a lot of people used blackthorn walking sticks. Yeah, why not? It's a walking cane, I suppose. If you carried it on as carry on, and just tell them it's your walking stick. Oh, Rex says, I've taken 3 shillelaghs through customs, never had a problem. Well, there you go, Rossio. There is your question answered, I think. Yeah, very good. I was thinking just that about the shillelagh. I'm quite short and wondered if I'd get away with saying it's a walking stick. You could say it's your wizard's staff, your wizardess's staff, you know. Customs stopped me to inspect Anthony's Stonehenge book. I was lucky to make my flight home. They just wanted to have a sneak read of it. You should have told them you buy your own bloody copy instead of reading mine. Yeah, was it like Shawshank Redemption, where they open it up and there's all the pages are cut out so that you can sneak a little rock hammer in or something, you know? Yeah. A fruitcake like the groom's cake would do, doused with poachine. Oh yeah. I made a Matilda cake, not feeling a bit of guilt. I'm going to polish it off. Would share to the mighty two, but alas, you would not make the journey to you. It's the thought that counts, Ivania, you know. We can just imagine eating the cake with you, you know. Who else? Did I miss anyone? No. Okay. Right. So let's get reading, shall we? We are talking on the subject of medicine and medical doctors. We're on the very last chapter of A Social History of Ancient Ireland. I counted the pages earlier, and I reckon there's 3 episodes left. And then we'll be finished the book finally. Look at where we are. This is what we've read to date. And this is all that's left. Just that narrow little few pages. So there you are. Are we ready? Thank you, Ivania. Yes, indeed. Almost 5 years. Literally can't believe that. Really astonishing how quickly time has gone by. Johnny, I'm late again this week. Well, technically speaking, I haven't actually begun to read. So technically speaking, you're not late. Just about made it and no more. Customs officer said Newgrange was still a mystery. The customs officer was not wrong in that statement. Yeah, and the fact that it's still mysterious makes it interesting. Makes it more interesting. Always ready, says Michael. Okay, let's do it. Many of the manuscripts consist of the works of classical medical authors, to which the Irish physicians obviously had full access, such as the aphorisms of Hippocrates, the works of Galen, Raz, Avicenna, Serapion or Serapion, Dioscorides. How do you say that? Dioscorides. Dioscorides. I have no idea. Etc. Some were copies of one or more of those in Latin, but many were translations into Irish, and all, whether Latin or Irish, were accompanied with native commentaries. The great bulk of the Irish medical literature is made up of these texts and commentaries, and the Irish physicians of each generation added the knowledge derived from other books or from their own experience. It may be interesting to give a brief description of a few of the existing manuscripts, which will serve as examples of all. The manner in which these books were generally compiled and the motives of the compilers may be gathered from the following translation of a prefatory statement in Irish by the writer of a medical manuscript in the year 1352, now in the Royal Irish Academy. A statement breathing a spirit worthy of the best traditions of the faculty. And this is a quote. May the merciful God have mercy on us all. I have here collected practical rules from several works for the honour of God, for the benefit of the Irish people, for the instruction of my pupils, and for the love of my friends and of my kindred. I have translated them from Latin into Gaelic, from the authority of Galen in the last book of his Practical Pantheon, and from the book of the Prognostics of Hippocrates. These are things gentle, sweet, profitable, and of little evil, things which have been often tested by us and our instructors. I pray God to bless those doctors who will use this book, and I lay it on their souls as an injunction, that they extract not sparingly from it, that they fail not on account of neglecting the practical rules herein contained, and more especially that they do their duty devotedly in cases where they receive no pay, on account of the poverty of the patients. Wow, imagine, in early Ireland, free healthcare was a thing. I implore every doctor that before he begins his treatment, he remember God, the Father of health, to the end that his work may be finished prosperously. Moreover, let him not be in mortal sin, and let him implore the patient to be also free from grievous sin. Let him offer up a secret prayer for the sick person, and implore the Heavenly Father, the physician and balm giver for all mankind, to prosper the work he is entering upon, and to save him from the shame and discredit of failure. Unquote. Wow. Sounds like they're more dealing with religion than medicine here, really, doesn't it? You know? When are we actually going to talk about healing the patient and not making sure that they're okay with God, you know? Dioscuri. Sharp accent on the coup. Dios. Yeah. Okay, let me spell it. Because that's... Dioscuri. Dioscurides. Is that right? I don't know. I spoke too soon. Facebook froze for a full minute. You spoke too soon. Karen Smith has joined us saying hello from Cumbria. A very good evening to you, Karen, just across the sea from us. And isn't that the where the not the lake, is it the Lake District and the Peak District? Are they both in that area? Yeah. I've never been. I must at some point make a visit. Sounds beautiful. The Book of the O'Hickeys, now in the Royal Irish Academy, commonly known as the Lily of Medicine, is a translation into Irish of a Latin work, Lilium Medicinae, originally written by Bernard Gordon, a continental physician, in 1303. This manuscript was at one time greatly celebrated among the Irish doctors. The Book of the O'Lees, O''Lees, in the Royal in the Royal Irish Academy, is a large-sized vellum manuscript written in 1443, partly in Latin and partly in Irish. The pages are curiously ruled and divided so that the writing forms patterns resembling astrological figures. It is a complete system of medicine, treating, among other things, of putrid fevers, of abscesses and pustules, of wounds, poisons and hydrophobia, of affections of the brain, eye, stomach, and other parts, of the period of life and time of year when certain diseases usually come on, and of the temperature or cardinal point that influences them. The Book of the O'Shiels, now also in the Royal Irish Academy, which was transcribed in 1657 from some manuscript of unknown date, not now in existence, consists partly of translations and partly of dissertations on the medical properties of herbs. We were talking about that recently, weren't we? Herbal remedies, you know. It is a system of medical science still more complete and scientific than even the Book of the O'Lees. The Book of Macanlega was transcribed in 1512 by Melaghlin Macangela, whose name Macangela signifies son of the physician, from an older book lent him by one of the O'Mulcronies, a family noted for their Irish scholarship. It is a commentary on ancient classical writers on medicine, those named at page 605 and others. We've just read that a few moments ago. Section 3 of this chapter is called Diseases. James F. O'Hare says, Anthony, for many years my father always insisted we, my family, were not Celts, but much older, hence the unpronounceable name. We were simply known as the sea in the Old Testament from Mesopotamia. Oh, okay, fascinating. But the Celts, of course, that's a bit of a misnomer these days, isn't it? Because it was long believed that the Celts sort of gave us high civilization, but now the geneticists tell us there was no great influx of people into Ireland in the Iron Age when the Celts were said to have arrived. The general names for disease, sickness, or ailment were galar, Galar, and Joyce says still used. And of course, this book was published in 1903. Ainces, Aincess. Trying to figure out whether that's Ainces or Eincus. And sometimes time, Teidm. Other words now in use are brochucht, eggcross, and eikige. All the chief diseases and epidemics we are now acquainted with were known and studied by the Irish physicians. In early times, great plagues were of frequent occurrence all over the world, and Ireland was not exempt. A pestilence of any great mortality was denoted by several words, the most usual being TAV, TAM or TAMH. Time, TEIDM, was often used, but this was also applied to any severe seizure in an individual, such as colic. Dimiva, Duinebath, is a plague, literally man death. Diva, Dibath, and or aphada or are often used in the same sense, as in Bodiba or Bo. Is that a or yeah, aphada or Bo or, both denoting cattle plague? And of course, we know this from the Dinchenicus legend of Douth, where Bressel, the king, who commands the construction of the monument, reigns at a time when there is a cattle plague, and it has decimated the cattle of Ireland, so that there's only one bull and 7 cows left in Ireland. And his nickname or his epithet is Bressel Bodibad, or how would you pronounce that? Bodiva, which literally means Bressel of the cattle plague. Fascinating. He got his nickname from the circumstances of the time in which he lived. In later times, the word plague, Plaig, or plague, was borrowed from Latin plaga or plaga, Plaga. Lastly, a terrible pestilence of any kind was sometimes designated by the expressive word scoaf, a besom or broom. So the idea being that the pestilence swept away the, well, I wouldn't say the dirt, but swept away the population, or a great number of them. The victims of a plague were commonly buried in one spot, which was fenced round and preserved as in a manner sacred forever after. In Cormac's glossary, and that of course dates from the late 9th century AD, it is stated that the place of such wholesale interment was called Taulachta or Taulacht, Tamhlacht, or a plague grave, from two words, Tau, Tamh, and Lacht, a monument or memorial over the dead. And here we go. This is fascinating. We've mentioned this in previous live streams. Tavlacht, or Tala, as it's rendered in modern Irish, which is still a living word, has given name to the village of Tala near Dublin, where the Partholonian colony, who all died of a plague in 1 week, were interred. And Tala, which used to be a village outside of the city of Dublin, is now a suburb of Dublin city. A very large suburb. And that's where it gets its name from. The plague graves of the Partholonians. Partholon and his people, who are said to have been one of the invasions or arrivals into Ireland, chronicled in Laura Gawala Éireann, the Book of the Takings of Ireland, also known as the Book of Invasions, yes. On the side of Tala Hill are to be seen to this day a number of pagan graves and burial mounds. Just by the chapel of Shanbally, near Monkstown below Cork, there is a large rock. Shanbally, let's look, brilliant. That just literally means old town or old village. There is a large rock with some ancient remains on its top. It is called on the ordnance map Carrigaplaw, representing the Irish Carrig a Flaw, the rock of the plague. But the popular anglicised name is Carrigaphlie, which better represents the pronunciation, Phlaigh, Carrigaphlie. the pee being aspirated as it ought. Probably the victims of some long forgotten local plague were interred there. Wow, fascinating stuff, isn't it? Carriga fly, the rock of the plague. One of the popular fancies regarding a plague was that it was a malignant living thing which roamed about the country, bringing sickness and death wherever it went. When the deadly plague called Crum Connell in the 6th century made its way to Kerry, the terrified people sent for Saint Macrecha to save them. He celebrated Mass and prayed and sounded his little consecrated bell, whereupon the people saw a fiery bolt from heaven coming towards them, and it fell on the Crum Connell so that it killed it and reduced its body to ashes. Wow, fascinating stuff. Okay. This notion, page turn. I can't turn the page. This notion has trickled down through generations to our own day. Many years ago, an intelligent peasant, a delightful old Shanachie, told me that on one occasion before his time, when the plague in its fearful career was approaching a certain townland, the people, in great terror, sent a wise old herb leech to stand guard on the hither bank of the river that separated them from the next territory. And when the evil thing approached and was about to cross, the old man chanted in a loud voice a sort of incantation, commanding it to proceed no farther. And here, I cannot help but think of Gandalf standing on the bridge of Khazad-dûm. You shall not pass. On which it turned back, and the townland was saved. There you go. My informant repeated for me the incantation in Irish verse, but I had not the forethought to take it down. The Irish annalists more often attribute the plague to demons. We find the following entry in Chernock's Annals for AD 1084. Quote, a great pestilence, Tive more, is Tive, how did we pronounce that? T-A-I, time more in this year, which killed a fourth of the men of Ireland. Wow, that's a quarter of the population. No, hang on, it only says the men. The women must all have survived. Hate to be pedantic, but like, where are the women? It began in the south and spread throughout the 4 quarters of Ireland. The causa causans, which is obviously Latin, the causal cause, the causation, the cause of the causation, the causa causans. What does that mean? The something cause of that pestilence was this: demons came out of the northern isles of the world, to wit, 3 battalions, and in each battalion there were 30 and 1000 and 2000, 3030 each. As Angus Og, the son of the Dagda, related to Gilla Lugan, who used to haunt the fairyman, the She, every year on Samhain night, the eve of the 1st of November. And he himself beheld at Maestew the battalion of them which was destroying Leinster. Even so, they were seen by Gilla Lugan's son, and wherever their heat or fury reached, there their venom, Niev, was taken. For there was a sword of fire out of the gullet of each of them, and every one of them was as high as the clouds of heaven. So that is the cause of this pestilence. So Angus Og related this to Gilla Lugan. I don't know, was that at the time this was yet in 1084? So almost 1,000 years ago. And if he did so, because it says Gilla Lugan used to haunt the fairyman, the She, every year on Samhain night, the eve of the 1st November. Presumably he's talking about Sheed and Broga at Newgrange. Because, and I mentioned this in my Newgrange book, actually, I made reference to this Newgrange Monument Immortality, out of print and due to be massively revised republished as a new work at some point in the coming couple of years, hopefully, if I get the time and if the world doesn't descend into... Anyway, never mind. And he was destroying... Yeah. So Gilla Lugan. Yeah, fascinating. The idea that somebody was visiting Newgrange 1,000 years ago and speaking, as it were, to Aengus Og, who's the deity who took over ownership of Newgrange from his father, the Dagda. Wow. So also the Four Masters under AD 986. Quote, Druidical or magical sickness was caused by demons in the east of Ireland, which caused mortality of men plainly before people's eyes. The idea of disease inflicted by demons... end quote. The idea of disease inflicted by demons found its way into the legends of the saints. Adovnon, sorry, I'm just straightening my back because it's a bit sore. Adovnon relates that in the time of St. Columba, a host of demons invaded the island of Tiree and brought pestilential diseases to the monastery there, of which many of the monks sickened and some died. Within historic times, the most remarkable and destructive of all the ancient plagues was the Blefed or Boya Connell, or Boy Connell, or Yellow Plague, which swept through Ireland twice in the 6th and 7th centuries, and which we know from outer sources desolated all Europe about the same time. And we are there talking in the 6th century, the Justinian plague of 535 to 540 AD, that sort of time frame. And there's a very, very interesting article about that on the Mythical Ireland website to do with tree rings and a study of major climatological events. And the late, great Mike Bailey, the dendrochronologist from Queen's University, who was on one of my Live Irish Myths in Conversation streams during 2020 or 2021, but has since passed away, sadly, mentioned the Justinian plague and this event coinciding with around 540 and mentions in the Irish annals of certain things that were going on. So just to give you a taste of what that article contains, I'll share the link. You can read it hopefully after the live stream, because if you read it during the live stream, unless you're very good at multitasking, you won't be able to listen and read at the same time. But anyway, there are references to a dim sun and dry fog in 536 to 537 CE or AD, terrible famines from Ireland to China in the late 530s, a hiatus in the setting up of stela, stones with recorded stories on them by the Mayans from the 530s to the 590s, and the arrival of the Justinian plague. But there were other interesting things that happened around that time. Cassiodorus stops writing in 538 AD. Malalas writes only 21 lines between 533 and 539. Zachariah's 9 volumes end in 536. Volume 10 is missing. The History of the Popes, published by a member of the Inquisition in 1750, records that in AD 540, quote, nothing happened worthy of notice, unquote. Wow. And Mike Bailey noted that, and this was fascinating, immediately after 540 AD, there's a huge upsurge in the activity of founding churches in Ireland. Wow. Within historic times, the most remarkable... Yes, I've read that. Anthony, don't read it again. The Irish records abound in notices of its ravages. There is a curious legend in the life of Saint Mochua that when the Shiel Murray, Shiel is like a clan, were suffering from this pestilence, the saint cured them and transferred the yellow colour of their skin to his crozier, which was thence called the Bachal Boy, the yellow crozier. Many other special plagues are recorded in the annals. During the 14th century, the country was hardly ever free from pestilence of some kind. The worst of all was the Black Death, which reminds me that over the past few years, probably going back 2 or 3 years ago, but for the previous 3 or 4 years, Matthew and Geraldine Stout had been excavating at Beaubec outside Drogheda, where they had found the remnants of a Cistercian corn drying and exporting operation there. And one of the things they found during the excavation was a plague pot. And I can show you a photo of this plague pot. Because it's on the front cover of the book that they published about their excavations of this French Cistercian grange at Beaubec. And there is the plague pot that they found. And I remember Matthew Stout. In fact, if you want to learn more about that, I made a Mythical Ireland documentary about that excavation. And if you look at the part where I'm speaking with Matthew Stout, he talks about the plague pot, and I think it's the Black Death he speaks about at the time. And I think he believed that pot was dated from the 14th century. Now, where is this documentary? Here we go. Share, copy, and I'll just paste that in. So on the Mythical Ireland YouTube channel, you might want to watch that after this episode is finished. It's an hour-long documentary about those excavations. I think you'll find it fascinating if you're interested in history and the sort of things we're talking about. Many other special plagues are recorded in the annals. Oh, yeah, sorry, I read that, but I'll just reiterate. During the 14th century, the country was hardly ever free from pestilence of some kind. The worst of all was the Black Death, which, judging of its ravages by the appalling description of Friar Clyn, C-L-Y-N, was as destructive in Ireland as elsewhere. That's Clyn's Annals, 1348, published in the Irish Archaeological Society, 1849. See also on this Joyce Short History of Ireland, page 316. In 1375 and 1378, certain persons are recorded to have died of Filoun, F-I-O-L-U, for the N, a scorbutic, or scrofulous disease of the skin and joints. And it also says to reference the annals of the Four Masters under those dates. This is still a living word and is used to denote sometimes scurvy and sometimes king's evil. Now, I've heard of scurvy, which I believe affects the gums and is a lack of vitamin C, isn't it? What is king's evil? I don't know what that is. The Four Masters and this is where I learned from you. You all do your Google searches, or some of you already know what it means and you don't need to do a Google search. Alzo Mac is asking, do you know anything of the healing lake, Loch an Lea in County Cavan? Loch an Lea, yeah. Apparently it had a tar-like substance in it that had healing properties. I don't think I'm aware of that, except for the fact that Loch an Lea, the lake on that hill, has dried up in the last century or two, I think. But I'm not sure about the tar-like substance. I'm not sure that I've heard of that before. King's evil, is it the great pox, asks Ivania. Yeah, I don't know. Rabbit hole, says Barbara. Well, you can't have an episode of Live Versmiths without at least one rabbit hole opening up. So yeah, rabbit hole, if that's what you want to call it. Yes, indeed. The Four Masters and other annalists record the prevalence in 1361 of a plague called Cluhan Ree, or the King's Game, Cluha an Ree. But what was the nature of the disease, or why so called, is not known. Fascinating. In 1404, the Annals of Loch Kay noticed numerous diseases that broke out that year, especially Galar na Lepte, the bed distemper, which Hennessy thinks was a sort of ague, A-G-U-E. The idea that a plague could not travel over sea farther than 9 waves was very general. Well, yes, except for if a human who had a plague or a disease or some sort of pestilence, departing one place and sailing in a boat over to the other place would bring it with them. It has been already related how St. Colman, with his companions, fled from the Yellow Plague to an island somewhere near Cork, so as to put a distance of 9 waves between them and the mainland. Wow. There are several terms in Irish for cutaneous diseases of the nature of leprosy. Of these, Southtrusk is applied to a great epidemic of the 6th century, which was a sort of mange or scaly leprosy. And it says 530, 553. So that's after the time of the Justinian plague, but presumably when the effects are still being felt. So Mike Bailey related the fact that this Justinian plague and the plagues that are recorded in Ireland in that time, 540 AD, in that time frame, were probably precipitated or caused, at least in part, by a darkening of the sky, a dimming of the sun, which was caused by the eruption of numerous volcanoes at the time. So basically, the volcanoes erupt, huge dust clouds go into the atmosphere, cloak the earth a little bit, dim the sun, cause the earth to cool, things stop growing, and then disease breaks out, basically. Clam and Trusk were also in common use for some form of the same disease, as well as for a leper. But the most general word for leprosy is lobor, Lobor, cognate with Latin lepra. In the oldest Irish writings, as in the 8th century glosses of Zeus, lobor, Lobor, lobber or lover, I think that would be lenited, wouldn't it? So lover is used in the sense simply of infirmus or sick, but later on it came to be applied in a special sense to a leper. We are told in Cormac's glossary that the word bill, Bill, also denoted a leper. Grace Walker is in the house. Late, yes, indeed, almost an hour. But Grace, come here. Life gets in the way, you know. Better late than never. That's what I always say, you know. And I'm not putting your name in the black box, you know. See the Sphinx and the Rainbow, says Iris Rebecca Johnston. Sorry, I'm lost now. The Sphinx and the Rainbow, is that related to the Justinian plague or something that we're talking about? I presume it is. Sorry, yes, apologies. Some cutaneous disease, very virulent and infectious, known by names such as lover, that indicated a belief that it was leprosy, existed in Ireland from a very early date. But Wilde, presumably he's talking about William Wilde, 1842, yeah, and other experts of our day doubt if it was true leprosy. Whatever it was, it would seem to have been a well-recognized disease in the 5th century. For we are told in one of the lives of St. Patrick that at one time he maintained a leper in his own house. After his time, our literature, especially the lives of the saints, abounds with notices of the disease. Is that because they were inspired by the Bible in which Jesus healed the leper? Who knows? We read in the historical tale of the Borova, that is I presume the tribe of Brian Boru, that immediately before the Battle of Dunbollag, the young warrior Ron Kerr, having smeared himself all over with a calf's blood mixed with dough of rye, so as to look like a leper, went in this disguise as a spy into the enemy's camp, from which he brought back a report to his own commander, Bran Duff, King of Leinster, literally, Bran the Black Bran. We have other instances, or Dark Bran if you prefer. Dark have been my dreams of late. We have other instances of the same sort of disease, from which we can infer that this disease was painfully common and familiar, and that the skin of those afflicted with it presented a squamous or scaly appearance with blood oozing through the sores. Ouch. It is about prediction from an ancestral and ancient perspective. Prediction. Okay. Prediction of, well, presumably the future. Brad M sends F-word greetings to everybody. Do we mention it or do we not? That's the question. The annals record several individual deaths by leprosy, and sometimes it broke out as an epidemic which carried off great numbers. From the time of St. Patrick till the 17th century, the country appears never to have been free from it. Gerard Boate, Boate, states that in his time, 1645, it had disappeared, and he attributes its former prevalence to the habit of eating salmon out of season. He tells us that it was specially prevalent in Munster, and his assertion would seem to derive some support from an incidental expression in an Irish authority very much older than his time, the Book of Rights, where the mountainous district of Sliabh Lochar in Kerry is called Lochar na Luar, Lochar of the lepers. Fascinating stuff. Mart Debs says, love this. So interesting. Isn't it fascinating stuff? Yes, indeed. And welcome. Anne Scott Doherty is late to the party again. I will not be putting your name in the black book. And I think you got special dispensation from that for your excellent handwritten work in recent weeks. So there's no need to worry, you know. Get out the black book, says Rex Fortenberry. Well, yeah, let's just parade it, shall we? The black book. The obsidian. A lower dove. The obsidian lower. It's all right. I'm not. I'm just not. Yeah. Those days of behaving like a Christian brother principal or a very very strict school teacher of decades gone by, they're gone. Those days are gone. I don't do that stuff anymore. In the Middle Ages, lepers were treated everywhere in Europe with great consideration and tenderness. In consequence of this, in Ireland at least, they gave themselves airs and became impudent and exacting. We are told in the life of St. Fechin, yes, Fechin, St. Fechin, that a leper full of disease from crown to sole once came to him at Fore, that is Fore Abbey, in the county of Westmeath, and made a very preposterous and impudent request. Said spoken in a manner as if Stephen Fry was reading that. Wasn't that very Stephen Fry-ish? For, adds the narrative, he was wanton as in the manner of lepers. Though the Irish physicians, mind you, it doesn't say what the preposterous and impudent request was. It just tells us he made it. That's a bit disappointing, isn't it? A little bit of an anticlimax there. We wanted to know what was this preposterous and impudent request that he made to St. Fechin. Though the Irish physicians derived a large part of the information from the writings of foreigners, yet they had native names for most of the indigenous diseases, which is one of the circumstances indicating that the science was of home growth, a fact also attested by the native traditions and records. Many examples of native Irish medical nomenclature might be adduced in addition to those already given, but I will content myself with the following. St. Fechin writes, did he play a part in Father Ted? Like Fechin Irish whiskey, yes indeed. The annals record several outbreaks of smallpox and many individual deaths from it. It was known by two names, both still in use in different parts of the country. Bulgach, or pustule disease, bulg meaning a bag or pustule, and Galarbrek, the speckled disease. See, Four Masters, AD 1327 note O and AD 774 note X. Will we go down that rabbit hole? Will we go down the rabbit hole? Barbara Murphy, what do you think? Will we go down that Annals of the Four Masters sized rabbit hole? Sure, why not? Oh, have I got the actually, I only have volume 1, so I might not have those references, but let's check AD 774 we'll certainly have. AD 774. 774, I believe we said. Yes, the age of Christ, the 9th year of Donacha, Follertuch, Bishop of Clonard, died. Largal, a wise man, son of Nevith, abbot of blah 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 blah. Yeah, which note was it though? Which note? Yeah, but go back. Talk about a rabbit hole indeed. What was the note that we were to go to? So AD 774, note X. Okay, let's go to note X. Yeah, Clon Mor Myog. There are two places of this name, now anglicised Clonmore in Leinster, one near the river Slaney in the barony of Bantry, the county of Wexford, and the other in the barony of Rathvilly and the county of Carlow. There is at the latter a holy well called Tobermogue, and the editor is of the opinion that it is the place referred to in these annals as Clonmore Myog or Myog. Most of the entries transcribed by the Four Masters under the year 774 are given in the Annals of Ulster under 778, together with the following, totally omitted by the Four Masters. AD 778, Boam mortalitas et mortalitas hominum de penuria, in Volgach for Éireann Chuile. Translation, the pox through all Ireland. Ventus maximus infine autumni. Is that something to do with the thing ending in autumn? These notices are entered in the annals of Clonmacnoise under the year 772. Thus, the morran of the cows in Ireland still continue. Morran sounds like a rendition of this word moraine, or moraine, M-U-R-A-I-N, meaning a plague on the cattle. Cows in Ireland, C-O-W-E-S, it's spelled here. The morran of the cows in Ireland still continued, and, which was worse, great scarcity and penury of victuals among the men continued. So a great scarcity of meat, basically. The pox, P-O-X-E, in brackets, the smallpox, came over all the kingdom. Wow, fascinating stuff. I'm not sure it's a proper mythical Monday without at least one rabbit hole. Well, this is very true as far as I'm concerned, you know. So, Ivania is saying, just watched a film I can recommend based around William Shakespeare and in the time of the 16th century play called Waste of Shame. I give the film a 5-star review. Thank you for the recommendation, Ivania. Yeah, we shall check it out. Absolutely. Pardon me. Consumption was but too well known then as now. A person in consumption was called onfobrocht or onbovrocht, which in Cormac's glossary is explained, quote, a person without brocht or fat, unquote. And in the Brehon laws, quote, one who has no juice of strength, unquote. Very poetic way of saying it, isn't it? One who has no juice of strength. Morcarta O'Brien, the powerful king of Munster, who was counted among the kings of Ireland, was struck down by a wasting disease, evidently consumption, till he became an onbovrocht, which O'Donovan, in the Annals of the Four Masters for AD 1114, translates, quote, a living skeleton, unquote, so that he retired to the monastery of Lismore, where he died in 1114. A usual term for consumption was sherg, S-E-R-G, that is, withering or decaying. It's kind of really sad, though, too, isn't it? It's sad, the sort of stuff that, and you know, I'm sort of very conscious of this when I talk about the Neolithic and prehistory and the Bronze Age, that, you know, in centuries past, that people who were otherwise very healthy were dying of some things that are eminently treatable today. And as the last 5 years have shown us, plagues and pathogens and viruses are things that still happen in the world. But at times when, through no fault of the people in particular, that a plague or some sort of a pathogen arrived into the island, into the country, and people died of it without knowing what to do to defend themselves from it, how to treat themselves. Whereas today, by and large, we have preventive medicine, we have vaccines, and we have all sort of medicinal and medical aid to help us. But it's just how people were kind of cut down, some of them in the prime of their life, by a disease or a plague, and how it was, what's the word? It was non-discriminatory, It didn't discriminate. It felled young and old, strong and weak. It didn't pick out a particular type of person, But yeah, it's Mythical Ireland. It just happens, lol, says Lexi, referring to the rabbit hole, I presume. Yeah, One of the 8th century Irish incantations noticed at page 631 further on is against galar foal, disease of the bladder or kidney, literally, quote, disease of the urine, unquote. That diseases of this class were studied and understood is indicated by the fact that in an Irish medieval tract copied about the year 1500 from an original some centuries older, renal calculus is designated in Irish lech in Arawn, literally meaning stone in the kidney. Wow. Of course, nowadays, such things are confirmed by X-rays and scan. What's not a CAT scan? The other MRI. What's the scan that a pregnant woman gets? Ultrasound, isn't it? Yeah. So good to have my lady wife sitting in the same room. Ultrasound, I think, or is it or MRI? Yeah. How did they know there were stones? Of course, I suppose they probably would have passed them eventually, but yeah, fascinating that in the year 1500 they knew they were able to put a word on such things. Yes, thank you, Christy. Christy was jumping in there with ultrasound, and Brendan as well. Yes, indeed. As I was trying to remember it, when I'm on the spot for words, I can be very eloquent in my speech, but there's just times when it's there, but the brain won't bring it from there to here, Oh. In the same tract, which has been edited by Dr. Stokes, presumably we're talking about Dr. Whitley Stokes, who has had many, many, many mentions on Live Irish Myths. Kiragra, or gout in the hand, is explained in Irish by Crupan na láimh, or in English, cramp or spasm of the hands. And ophthalmia, ophthalmia even, is galar shula, disease of the eye. This word, crupan, a spasm or seizure, is still used in parts of Ireland to denote a paralytic affection in cattle. It was also applied to convulsions. Mavanray says, I've been here all along, honest. Yes, of course, because we've been seeing so many comments between the other Tua and yourself over the last hour and 16 minutes. So we have. We've been watching very carefully as you've had this wonderful flowing conversation. And there's no possibility that you could possibly, there's no way. I mean, it's just not possible that you just arrived into the audience right now. In the welcome, Mavanwi. In the tripartite life and other old documents, this is the tripartite life of Saint Patrick, of course. Colic, it's been quiet tonight. How would you even know? I mean, we've had a couple of rabbit hole ventures when we've had some new viewers in the house, and we've had lots of discussion going back and forth. I can't actually show every comment because the chat is literally so busy, you know. Here we go, says Tom. In the tripartite life and other old documents, colic is designated by Tregat, Tregat, modern Tread, Treaghaid, which is still a spoken word. AD 986, quote, a colic Tread in the east of Ireland caused by demons, which inflicted slaughter on people, and they, the demons, appeared clearly before men's eyes, unquote. That's from the Annals of Chernock in Revue Celtique XVI. What's that, 17? So that is fascinating. But it's also annoying and disturbing that for so many centuries, science was shunned in the name of religious viewpoints, you know, that if you got sick, it was basically because of a demon, and if you got sick, it was basically because you were a sinner. And you know, like we saw that description a few pages ago where, you know, in order to be treated, the person had to make their peace with God and had to make sure that they were, you know, saying their prayers and asking for forgiveness and stuff. Well, just treat the bloody illness first, will you? I'll do all the prayers later. Can we just focus on the medicine right now? You know, but then different times, different days, at a time when it was believed that you know, God literally had this sort of level of minute influence in the day-to-day lives of ordinary humans. Johnny is saying by James Bonwick. Is that the one about druids, Johnny? Can I join you as a participant for only a moment? A participant in what? Iris, you've been here, I think, for a while. You mean in... I'm not sure what you're talking about. Apologies. My apologies. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Dronf is in the house. I always think that, you know, Dronf is such a fascinating handle. That you meant to say drone but misspelled it, typed an F instead of an E. I know that's not what you didn't do. Dronf. Yes, druids. Yes, indeed. Yes. Mark has downloaded Gods and Fighting Men, the story of the Tuatha Dé Danann of the Fianna of Ireland. Yeah, that's a very good book, actually. And I have a couple of copies here. And I have given away some and sold some over the years. But it is very good. One of the early kings of Ireland was called Ead Uradnech, AD 603 to 611, or Aid of the Shivering Disease. No doubt, Ague, Ague. Now, I am curious about this ague. Malaria or other illness involving fever and shivering. Oh, okay. So that's kind of, I think ague is an archaic word, is it? Or is it still used? I don't think it's still in modern use, you know, a fever or shivering fit. Palsy was known by the descriptive name Creelov, trembling of the hands, from Cree shaking and love a hand. Epilepsy or falling sickness was called in Irish Galar Pól, Paul's sickness, from a notion prevalent in Ireland as elsewhere that St. Paul, after one of his visions, was subject to such a collapse of the nervous system as resembled or was identical with an epileptic fit. A person subject to falling sickness was called by the expressive name Talavia. I'm sorry for laughing because it is not funny, but this is funny. Prone to the earth, from Talav, the earth. Wow. The Irish can sometimes be very unforgiving in their sort of nicknames, epithets for people, you know? Yeah. Okay, so we have a spammer on Facebook. Folks, you know what to do. Somebody is asking loads of people to inbox them now. They will not be inboxing you. Please go away. Stop annoying us. Stop interrupting our rabbit holes. Speaking of, here's another one. Let me see if I can ban them from inbox me now. Do-do-do-do. Yeah, you see, sometimes you can only hide the comment. Why can't I block you? Report. Yes, okay. Spam. Spam. Where is spam? Problem solving, bullying, harassment, suicide or self-harm, violent, hateful or disturbing content, selling or promoting restricted, adult scam. Oh, let's call it spam. Yes, there we go. It's under scam. Block. Yes, here we go. Block, confirm. Apologies for the interruption, folks. It does still happen to us from time to time. You remember in the early days of Live Irish Myths, for the first year or so, it used to happen every episode. There was some spammer or other offering people various services of different kinds. Anyway, we seem to have it sort of well under control these days. I believe that person has now been completely blocked, so that should be the end of the matter. Saint Caman of Inishkeltra died in 653 of Tenebwr, fire of swelling. Saint Anthony's fire, or erysipelas, which withered away all his body, so that his bones fell asunder as they laid him in the grave. Oh, how sad. In one of Zeus's 8th century glosses, cancer is explained by two Irish words, tuhle, T-U-T-H-L-E, and aisle, A-I-S-L-E, the latter of which is still in use in the same sense. And elsewhere, in the same glosses, another native word for the same disease occurs, which is urfasiu, U for the or, P-H-A-S-I-U. Diarrhea was called in Irish bunyach, i.e. flux, from bunya, a wave or stream. Wow. Well, you know, it's got a lot. Diarrhea has a lot to do with genetics. Runs in the family. Sorry, couldn't hold a straight face. Apologies. I'm nearly finished for this week's reading. Under AD 785, the Annals of Ulster record the ravages of a plague called Scamach, which in the Annals of Clonmacnoise is anglicised Scawa. I don't know how to pronounce that. Scawaga. Skawaghe. Scawaga. Possibly some skin disease or a squamous or of a squamous or scaly nature. Madness has already been treated of. Baggy trousers. If you suffer from consumption, you're going to have baggy trousers. Never mind. And for those of you who are unaware of the completely terrible joke I've just been talking about, that is Madness, the ska band, who sang Baggy Trousers and Our House and such hits of the 80s, I think it was. 90s maybe, but mostly 80s, I think. John Inman tells us that St. Antonio's fire was caused by blighted rye, a coagulation agent. Wow. So, you know, it's funny, you know, that thing about eating salmon out of season, maybe that was a thing, you know, maybe they, I don't know, it's just interesting, you know, like you are what you eat, you know. Our annals, you know what, will I read to the end of this section and then start afresh? Our annals teem with accounts of great cattle plagues or murrains, commonly called Boiva or Bodibad, B-O-D-I-B-A-D, the aforementioned Bressel Bodibad of the Douth myth, or cow destruction, and sometimes Bobai, B-A-I-T-H. That's in Cormac's glossary. And Bo-or, Ba, death, or slaw, A for the or, slaughter. Special cattle diseases were Bachach, the dry murrain, literally lameness, Moilgarb, a cutaneous disease of some kind, previously unknown, broke out among cattle AD 987. There was another kind of disease called Chonach, believed to be produced by swallowing some sort of caterpillar with that name. Wow, fascinating stuff. Bodibad, or Bo. How does he say it's pronounced? Boiva. Wow, cattle plagues. This disease was treated by causing the animal to drink water in which a connacht, that is, a metallic amulet in the shape of the caterpillar, had been steeped. The closeness with which animal diseases were studied is indicated by the number of native names for horse distempers, of which the following are given by the glossator on the Shanachas Mór, that is, the law tract, but without any explanation. Ovach, Avdach, Irda Fohach, Lek os Crew, and Delgmich, while many others incident to animals in general will be found in the manuscripts referred to in the note on this passage in the law. It should be mentioned that a paper by H. Cameron Gillies, MD, on, quote, Gaelic names of diseases and of diseased states, quote, in the Caledonian Medical Journal, and reprinted as a pamphlet in 1898, contains a great deal of information on this subject. It is written from a Scotch rather than from an Irish standpoint, which makes it all the more interesting to the Irish student. And therein, we shall leave it for this evening. Lily Shambles is already out, flying out before we even had reached, just as we got to the end of the sentence there. Paul Campbell just now finished attending in-person March Galway Astronomy Club. Oh, Paul was back at the Astronomy Club. Great to see you. By the way, I was talking to Joseph, and I'm going back on the show in May. Paul, I think it's the 5th of May. It's the bank holiday Monday, so no doubt we'll see you there. Total madness, says Brendan. Madness, yes. What book, asks Catins S., would you recommend that gives an accurate account of the life and times of St. Bridget and St. Columba? Well, Adovnon's Life of St. Columba is the biography, which is available in a Penguin, as a Penguin book, I believe. St. Bridget, well, there are a couple of lives of St. Bridget which you can almost certainly download from the internet without having to pay for them because they're very old works. Cogitosis's Life of St. Bridget and the Vita Prima Sancte Brigida, I think it's called. I can't remember the author of that. Are the two sort of known biographies of Bridget. There are much more modern books. It depends. Are you interested in exploring just the life of Bridget as it is given, from a purely religious Christian Catholic point of view, or are you interested in a broader exploration? The brilliant Mary Condren, who wrote The Serpent and the Goddess, I suspect would be a brilliant author of a Bridget book. If she hasn't already done so, which I don't think she has, I think she would be absolutely brilliant. There's one that has come out over the past 5 years. I think, is it called St. Bridget of Kildare and book. Is it Noel Kissan or a guy, somebody called Kissan? There are lots of books. Yeah, Noel Kissan. Oh, wow, 2017. The St. Bridget of Kildare, Life, Legend and Cult is the name of that. But there's a more recent one. Was that Mary? Was that the broadcaster? What's the name? Is it Mary Kennedy and her sister? Two Lives of St. Bridget. That's on Irish History Bookshop. Who is the author there? Sorry, I'm just going to catch up with Catins S. If you just don't mind me telling you, just answering that question about whether you're just interested in the in the religious life, or a more nuanced exploration. I'm not seeing who the author of Two Lives. Oh, that's an editing of the Two Official Lives by Philip Freeman. Okay, just trying to find. There's definitely a more recent book. St. Bridget book, Mary Kennedy. Sure. I could be wrong about that. There's a book called Bridget, Goddess, Druidess, and Saint by Brian Wright, but I haven't read it, so I can't particularly tell you much of it. Oh yeah, Journey to the Well, Connecting to Celtic Ways and Wisdom. That's the Mary Kennedy book, but that's not specifically about St. Bridget. I'm kind of not really answering your question. Debbie Sheehy says, Dr. Mary Condren is currently completing a new book on Bridget. I hope it will be available soon. Well, there you go. I think it will be brilliant. I have great time and respect for Mary. I think she's a brilliant scholar. St. Patrick's Day is coming up, as John Inman reminds us. We celebrate St. Patrick's Day 2 Mondays from now. I've been listening to his Biog, is it? Interesting. Sphinx in the Rainbow. Dr. Mary's incident reported in 1518. This is Evania Lee, where a large outbreak of uncontrollable dancing plague, danced till they collapsed from exhaustion or died. Imagine that. Wow. Never heard of it. A dancing plague. Some people would say that was river dance, but of course they would be very cynical, and some of us actually, well, particularly the music. I love the music of river dance. Demons would have been involved, I'm sure. Yes, well, the demons are given the blame for so many things, you know. Dr. Catherine Zapf is saying, is it ergotamine is the alkaloid causing vascular constriction and abortion in St. Anthony's Fire? Wow. Didn't know that now. Did not know that. Brendan Byrne is saying, good night, everyone, from the Valley of the Two Lakes. Lovely evening as always. Brilliant. Joe Krause is saying, morning, Anthony and all. Good morning, Joe. Just as we finish, I hope you're in good form. And good evening from this part of the world, from the Boyne Valley. St. Patrick's Day is some sort of carnival, but how was it back then in the 13th century? It definitely wasn't a carnival back then, I can assure you of that. It only really became a big sort of annual carnival sort of event in probably the last 50 to 100 years. Biography, says John. Yes, thank you, John. Yeah. I wonder if that was the inspiration for the Red Shoes fairy tale. I'm not sure what that's in reference to, Levanway. Apologies, because you see, I have to catch up on the chat afterwards, and sometimes there's a comment relating to something I said, but I can't connect it because it's something I said ages ago, and then other stuff is relating to conversations that are going on, so I don't show all the comments, and sometimes I you know, look, you know yourself, I'm only one person, yeah. Last night, someone broke into our house and took a dozen eggs. They also left a saucepan filled with warm water. Police believe it was poachers. It's annoying when people use the wrong word and don't have the humility to admit it. And I also hate when I'm doing the school run, and, you know, I see the other parents at the school drop off acting like they're better than me just because they remembered to bring all their children. Anyway, the main thing is the dancing plague of 1518 is fascinating. And Rex has shared a link to history.com about the dancing plague, which we shall read after the live stream. Thank you for that, for sharing that. Yeah. The main thing is right now to say get well soon, Lexi Erickson. All the best from all of us to you, and hopefully back on your feet fairly soon, and back home and in full health, and dancing around the place with any luck. But take care of yourself, and we'll be thinking of you. And anyway, you've plenty of back episodes that you can rewatch, especially for the humor. What was the one? Have I got one? Yes. So just before you go, a very, very quick story. You could call it a joke, but I'll let you be the judge of that when it's finished. A young curate had just arrived into the parish, and he was being welcomed by the parish priest. But about 6 days after he'd arrived into the parish, his bicycle was stolen, and he was both perplexed and annoyed by this occurrence. And so he was in the parochial house, and the parish priest said to him, Father Smith, let's call him, what's wrong, Father Smith? And the young curate said to the parish priest, he said, somebody stole my bike. And the parish priest, who was advanced in years and very wise and full of experience, said, Father Smith, don't worry, do not fret at all. I will help you to get your bike back. What I want you to do is, this coming Sunday, and Mass was going to be a couple of days away, Sunday was a couple of days away, he said, on Sunday, I want you from the pulpit to talk about the 10 commandments. And he said, when you get to thou shalt not steal, take a very careful scan of the congregation, and you will see there one very, very particularly shifty and guilty face, and you will have identified the person who has stolen your bicycle. So Father Smith said to, let's call him Father Murphy, the parish priest, oh, thank you, Father Murphy, I shall do that. So Sunday arrived, and the young curate was saying Mass for the first time and did the whole commandments thing. And after the Mass, he met Father Murphy in the vestry. And Father Murphy said to the young curate, Father Smith, how did you get on with the commandments? Have you identified the thief of your bicycle? To which Father Smith said, no, I didn't actually get that far. I got to, thou shalt not commit adultery, and then I remembered where I left my bike. And that, my dear folks, is it for this evening at no extra cost. Don't forget, Mythical Ireland, New Light on the Ancient Past, the 2025 reprint is arriving from the printers tomorrow, finally, after some delay. But tomorrow, if you don't own one, it is my best-selling book and is the biggest, along with Island of the Setting Sun, kind of the joint largest of my books. You want a signed copy? Get over to the website there at that link, mythicalireland.com. Go into the shop, into the books, and a signed copy, and I'd be happy to send one to you. Just bear in mind that postage does cost a little bit. It's a bit on the steep side in Ireland. There's nothing I can do about that. I apologize. But if you want a signed copy, that's what you have to do. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this evening. Red Moon soon, says Lynn Murphy, reminding us that is it the 13th? Is it 10 days' time? I think it is. There is a lunar eclipse. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's before sunrise here in Ireland. On Thursday, the 13th of March, we shall see the moon going partially red, at least, or partly into shadow. I'm not sure if it's a partial lunar eclipse from where we are or a total. So that is on the 13th. So, yeah, something to look forward to, perhaps. Anyway, thank you all for your lovely company this evening. And for the fun and the conversation and all the nice comments. As always, you are the wonderful Mythflix too. Hard to believe that we are almost 5 years into this. I really, really am flabbergasted. It feels like 3, even 2. It does not feel like 4 or 5. Time has flown, but they say time flies when you're having fun. And certainly when you're having fun in the company of such wonderful people from around the world. Thank you indeed for joining us. This is Live Irish Myths. We'll be back as usual next Monday to carry on with our exploration of this topic. The following Monday is St. Patrick's Day, so we will probably have a special devoted to the celebration of, one other thing. The 16th of March, the day before St. Patrick's Day, is the 25th anniversary of the Mythical Ireland website. The Mythical Ireland website came into being on the 16th of March in the year 2000. So I have to think of something to celebrate that and 5 years of live Irish myths together. That's interesting. Yeah, so in the coming week, I have to put my thinking cap on and think of some way that we can celebrate that. So Monday the 17th, we will almost certainly have a three-way episode celebrating St. Patrick's Day, celebrating 25 years of Mythical Ireland, the website, and celebrating 5 years of live Irish myths. If you've got any ideas, feel free to email them on to me, mythicalireland@gmail.com. In the meantime, thank you all, you lovely people. We'll see you next week. Have a great week. Have a safe week. And remember, spread the love.